you're going through a challenging time. Maybe you're dealing with a tremendous amount of stress, and perhaps over a variety of not just days, but weeks, maybe even years, something stressful and that can sometimes be so overwhelming that you have a hard time, you have a difficult time making decisions and taking action. Or perhaps you're in pain. For example, with myself, with all the knee pain since the seventh surgery on my left knee, when the pain is overwhelming, I know what it's like to feel as though I don't want to make a decision. I don't want to do anything right now. There are people who come to me asking for help from the Plan to Be Your Best approach, Plan to Be Your Best as you navigate pain. And they say, I'd like to make decisions, but I'm just finding that I'm stuck. How do I get unstuck? How do I make a decision that actually helps me fuel the energy I need to get through the next hour or the next few minutes? Making decisions and taking action can be extremely challenging. That's why the word resolve has been the Plan to Be Your Best word for this week. The Plan to Be Your Best group that met a couple days ago, we talked about it, and I shared with them a variety of quotes that I'm going to share with you. Tuesday evening, I was live on Cadre, the online community for well-being and mental health. When I was live Tuesday, we talked about resolve and these quotes, which I'll share with you. And what we found was that peeling back the layers on how we get stuck, how beneficial it is to take steps to fuel our resilience, that the more we ended up both recognizing what's keeping us stuck, but getting to a point of experiencing this kind of liberation, a kind of everything from permission to make decisions with purpose, taking action with purpose. But then there was this fresh energy that came from it for their resilience and for mine. Hi, I'm Rick Cram. Welcome to Plan to Be Your Best Live on this Friday, the 26th at 12 noon Eastern. I'm live here just about every Friday as part of the podcast, Plan to Be Your Best Live. And it's fairly new, and it has a purpose. The purpose is to provide encouragement and resilience, both for us to experience it in real time, like now, also as well as to capture some of these thoughts so that you can come back to this video, that I'll come back to this video and find that re-immersing ourselves in the thoughts, the feelings that will emerge through our time together is a way to spark new positive energy for moving forward. Because pain management is not perfect. Resilience and practicing resilience, growing our own unique resilience, there's no perfection in it. Yet in the practicing, coming back to it again and again, those things that both provide fresh energy, help us win back the energy that pain takes away, is part of what it looks like to be resilient. And it gets us to the point where we can say, all right, there's no perfection here, but I'm practicing it. And I'm finding in the practicing that my best is greater than the pain. Your best is greater than the pain. So welcome. I'm Rick Cram, and if we're connecting for the first time, surgery number 7 on my left knee in 2019, a partial revision of a total knee replacement, gives me dozens of times a day moments just like that, where it gives me an opportunity to practice my resilience. It gives me an opportunity to use the 3 steps of resilience to tune in, to make a choice and act with purpose, to stay focused on you and what I feel resolved to share with you today. So I, as someone who deals with daily pain dozens of times a day, usually it's a blast of agony, over 20 different pain sensations, as well as being a trained caregiver, and even from the leadership and communications career that I've had, all combined, that's what goes into the creation of Plan to Be Your Best, that method for finding ways to fuel, strengthen your own unique resilience, to show you ways to keep coming back to it, to create that energy that we're going to be experiencing here and learn what it is to thrive even with the pain. For those of you who are perhaps new, I was actually asked by the Federal Home Loan Banks to create a leadership program on how to lead ourselves and others through anything that's overwhelming, because they were getting together for a management meeting, their annual managers conference, and were facing challenges that they've never seen before. And they needed to know, how do we go through this? And in fact, that's perhaps one of the most common questions, and the first questions my clients come to me with is, how do I get through this? Let's take a look at some ways that we can do exactly that. I'm going to share with you a number of different quotes from the Plan to Be Your Best pages, and let me just take care of a couple of technical details here. I'm going to share with you, first of all, a definition of what it means to apply resolve. The definition of resolve, if you look it up online, it is to decide firmly on a course of action. Resolve, decide firmly on a course of action. A couple of facets to that are rather interesting. So to have resolve, if I'm going to decide firmly on something, that means there's conviction there. There is a determination, there's a purpose. If I'm going to make a decision, it's not going to be a half-hearted decision. It's not going to be even 99%. It is a 100% commitment to this decision. And as you'll see, in doing so, especially if you're navigating pain, if you're grieving, or if you're dealing with excessive stress, there's a liberation from that. So let's take a look at the first quote that I have for you. And let me just share this. I am live on YouTube. Please do share your questions or any thoughts. We can make this a discussion. And we'll be here together perhaps for about 15 minutes or so. And then for those of you who are watching the recording, go ahead and post your comments. I'll reply to every one of them. Ask what questions you've got. I found that we can not only grow through what is very challenging, both the primary sources of pain, in my case, it's the knee, the 7 surgeries, and the damaged nerve, and all that comes with it. But there's the secondary array of mental stressors. There's the emotional journey to this. So the harder, the most difficult the question, I believe we can grow through those as well. The better the question, the more difficult it is to perhaps pose it and think through what might be the answers for it. There's growth that comes from that. More goodness for your resilience and for mine. This first quote is "Resolve, and thou art free" by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Resolve, and thou art free. Thank you, Longfellow, for that. I can't help but think that Longfellow understood what that meant, because when we apply that resolve to decide firmly on a course of action, there is that freedom that comes from it. That's 1/2, or maybe let me say this, that's 1/3 of the challenge that we have when we're trying to strengthen and exercise our resilience. Here's how it factors into the 3 steps of resilience. In effect, we've tuned in. We're taking a look at understanding, here is some pain. Here is something that we're grieving, or here are the stressors in my life. And perhaps go ahead and ask yourself, what are the stressors in my life right now? How are you really? And when you take a look at, with an honest eye and an honest soul, exactly what it is that is so difficult right now, that once you identify that and then move into thinking this through the second steps of resilience, is to look at the options. What are the choices that can get us to that point where, when we apply some resolve, look at those options and choose one, there is a freedom that comes from that. And then the third step is be your best, where you take action on it. And that's when you experience what is something worth celebrating, that you demonstrated your own resilience. That's your best in action. And there is new energy that comes from it. You're also starting to create a new pattern. You're reinforcing that positive, resilient pattern within you. doing that over and over again is how we do persevere. It is how we thrive, even with the pain. Resolve, and thou art free. What is the freedom that you seek? What is it that you need to be free from? Try applying this word resolve in your day to day, in the days ahead, making firm, 100% committed decisions, and then acting on them. The next quote is by Horace. A good resolve will make any port. From Horace, a good resolve will make any port. Imagine sailing. As you can see, I love sailing. I love the idea that when our sails are full, we can navigate where we want to go. And if we need to get back into the safety of the harbor, get back to port. A good resolve is what it takes to get there, to make the decisions to perhaps come about, make a tack that changes the direction. Have you ever noticed what it feels like when you're sailing and all of a sudden you're pointing in the wrong direction? The sails aren't full. Not only that, if the wind is strong, if it might be a stormy day, or perhaps some weather is moving in, those sails will flap out of control and even violently. Have you ever experienced that, or have you seen that? Sometimes when we're overwhelmed with the pain and all that comes with it, our minds can get trapped, and it's like those sails flapping continuously. We're stuck in that. It is even violent. We might feel the wind splashing up the waves, and there can be that stinging of the salt water on our faces, and there's more pain. So what we do when we apply some resolve, we are deciding firmly on exactly how we're going to navigate it, to make a turn and fill those sails, and then with full sails move forward and navigate where we want to go, and in effect becoming free from that trap of looping thought, those flapping sails, and the pain of that experience. It's not easy, and sometimes it takes trying over and over and over again, but it does kick in, turning the rudder, heading in the right direction, the right tack will fill those sails, and then you gain more control, not over just your direction, but more control over your thoughts, even control over how you manage your emotions, to pick new thoughts, such as a thought of gratitude, something that you're thankful for, and even take an honest look at the emotions. Is this emotion serving me well? What emotion might I choose? And I'm not just talking about, all right, I'm going to be happy now. Happiness can be a challenge. I do believe in joy. I choose joy in the hardest of moments. And I can be aware of the joy and tap into the joy I've got in me. It is a constant, even though happiness can be fleeting. I'll choose joy and focus on that. What we focus on is what we experience. And that helps change our emotions, even to getting to that sense of, I feel joy, even with the pain. And it helps get to the next moment and the next and the next. When the will is ready, the feet are light. It's a wonderful proverb. When the will is ready, the feet are light. It's another way of saying that when we apply resolve, firmly decide on a certain course of action, there is this freedom, there is this lightness. Now the feet know where to go. There is this elevated sense of not just the direction, the actions I'm going to take, but because of that resolve, the feet can fly. You can run towards whatever it is that you're pursuing, the actions that you're going to take. You've given yourself relief by simply making the decision, applying that resolve, and now you know the way to go, as opposed to the heaviness of staying stuck in that place that is painful, that is stressful, that is discouraging. And that stuck place means I haven't made that firm decision to take action. I am not applying the resolve. And this is what it looks like in one way, one of many ways that resilience works. It is to make decisions, make choices, and then act on them with conviction. And this quote by Thomas Edison, I love quotes by Thomas Edison. Got numerous favorites. And this is one that I don't think I've seen before until this week. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. But the most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. That's a resilient thought. And resilience is something that is about bouncing back again and again. And within that effort to bounce back again and again are numerous choices, numerous ways of exercising resolve to decide again and again, to flex that muscle of not just resilience, but that muscle of intentionality. I say it every time because it's so true and so important that the level of pain must be matched by the level of intentionality. And when we apply resolve, when we make choices, we find that our best is greater than the pain. Your own unique resilience has strengths to it. So to a great extent, these are questions of how do we fuel that strength? How do we build on it? Even if you're exhausted and feeling down, perhaps even depressed and in the pit, which I can relate to. I'm there a number of times a week, but I always know that I'm going to come out of it. The idea of your strengths are there, but so is your resilience. You're not weak, you're just exhausted. And your resilience is made perfect in that exhaustion. Take action, apply resolve, and then make that decision and take action. You're worth it. Your next moment is worth it. And you've got those resilience in you. You've got those strengths of resilience in you as only you can. Again, your best is greater than the pain. One last quote by Bob Goff, wonderful author. Live a life of conspicuous, let me try that again. Live a life of conspicuous grace and courageous resolve. Bob Goff. Conspicuous grace. That means let it show. Make it obvious. It's there. And actually in extending grace, you see and even experience the goodness of it for others, and it flows right back to you. Are you extending the grace to yourself that you extend to others? Sometimes we will think things to ourselves that we would never say to someone else. Sometimes we extend grace to others that we don't extend to ourselves enough. Let me encourage you to think in terms of resolve, that firm decision to take action, including being graceful, extending grace to yourself. Let me try saying it another way. When you find yourself saying things to others, when you find yourself saying things to yourself that you would never say to others, and when you find yourself not extending the grace to yourself that you so quickly and generously give to others, it's time to take a look at applying that resolve, giving yourself permission, decide firmly to say, I'm going to lift myself up. I'm going to encourage myself. I'm going to affirm my strengths, my resilience. I'm going to give myself the grace that I love giving others. I'm going to love giving it to myself. And then in that resolve, experiencing that freedom that we have been seeing in these quotes, that liberation, that new energy, and having feet that feel lighter, light enough to get you forward, moving forward into the next minutes, hours, and days. Please share with me any thoughts that you might have on these quotes, on the idea of the word resolve. What does it mean to you? Let me pause to just invite you on the first and third Sunday of each month at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern is Take Heart, Resilience and Encouragement in Action. Take Heart is encouragement and resilience in action the first and third Sundays of every month at 3 o'clock Eastern. And it's time for us to gather live on Zoom, absolutely no cost. And it's a time to have a conversation, different topic each time from the pages of Plan to Be Your Best as you navigate pain, where we will share and receive encouragement, or we will talk about and experience resilience for about half an hour, 45 minutes. It's a time to come together as we are and leave stronger. I hope you'll join me. rickcram.com is where you can learn all about that, as well as more about this podcast. I look forward to knowing your questions, your thoughts, if there's a certain topic that you'd like me to reflect on. So I am a holder of hope for you in your journey of being resilient. Whatever you're going through right now, during this time, whatever is stressing you, whatever is causing grief, I'm a holder of hope for you. And I'm here for you to help encourage you, give you practical insights on how to strengthen your own unique resilience. And again, remind you that your best is greater than the pain. Thank you so much for being here. If you've watched the recording of this, I look forward to your thoughts. And most of all, I hope you have a blessed rest of the day and the weekend ahead. Take good care.